What's up, everybody? It is time for MLB Live Before Lock. And over the course of the next hour here, we're going to walk you through DraftKings. We'll walk you through some FanDuel as well. If you guys do have FanDuel questions, was one thing that Eric reminded me of right before we were starting here. But the FanDuel slate, it is going to be locking earlier today. So if you guys do have any FanDuel questions you want to ask us at the top, let us know. And we could certainly answer those to get them done a little bit earlier with the FanDuel slate locking a little bit earlier for today. We've got Sims run already for DraftKings, and otherwise, normal deal here. We're going to walk you guys through everything it is that you need to know to build yourself some winning lineups for today. Eric, how has your day been going? And I realize that I never changed the overlay from before, so I'm mixing that up right now. But Eric, what's going on with you today?
Just trying to react to the Chicago Sky as Ariel Atkins just got ruled out, and trying to get on the other side of this one because a lot of these Q tags, I basically just put some liquidity down and tried to pick up $10 here, $20 there. So, just a standard Wednesday in my life, looking at NFL bets, looking at MLB bets, trying to tails sharp people that I appreciate, trying to make it work. But you can do the exact same thing as me. I mean, I've just kind of been going through the expert picks page now and just taking a look at what people are throwing out there, getting ideas for things that I want to be betting as well. Because for me, that's become a really nice treat, I would say, over at tails.bet, is being able to have so many people in the community and being able to find some bets that I get to look into myself, tail the ones that I want to, don't tail the ones that I don't. I mean, it's been a really eventful afternoon for me doing that.
Yeah, it has been a day full of meetings for me. Also did the football show this morning, so got to do a first look at our NFL projections, which are live on the site for week 2. Lofty and I got to do a little bit of a look ahead there. That was fun if you guys are looking for some football content. And then, of course, Ben and Lofty did the first look yesterday as well. Don't forget, a lot of people have been asking us with the deals that we had for NFL week 1. They're expired now. It was for NFL week 1. So people have been asking us, what can they do to get in on some of our tools and maybe get a discount? I will tell you the best way to go ahead and do that. And that is sign up for any of our affiliate partners. We got links down below in the YouTube description box. There's a page right there to sign up, and lots of big wins as of late, especially with NFL starting up. Steve Buzzard won $200,000 for NFL week 1. We saw CJ Beast is somebody who is pretty commonly watching our shows and tweeting at us on social media. He had a win for 20 grand. So if you guys want to try out the tools for yourself, here's the best way to do it. Sign up down below. Any of our affiliate partners that are on our link join page, for each one you sign up for, you get 1 free month of Core Sims. And that is one way, totally for free, that you could get access to our tools. Just make sure you do it through that page. And actually, maybe even better than free, Eric, because a lot of those sites also have sign-up deposit bonuses. So it's like, get $150 or $200 in bonus bets or something like that, and you get the free month of Sims on top of it. So take advantage of some of those offers.
That's tremendous.
That is. It is. It's a pretty good deal. So take advantage of that and get yourselves some free access to our tools as well. But let's go ahead and, by the way, I just want to bring it up here because it hasn't gone anywhere. Chunk the Deuce says, bring back college football DFS breakdowns, please and thank you. Not up to me. It's Matt. Matt is free reign to do them if he wants to. He's just been busy and hasn't done them. It's not like he was told he can't do them. He's just been busy. Tell him you want him to do them, and maybe that is something that he'll respond to. But yeah, nobody's told him not to. It's just it's his discretion there. So, Eric, let's go ahead and start looking at some of the pitching options on the slate. Although, is there any kind of overarching thoughts that you have? Is there any weather concerns you have or anything along those lines?
I mean, I'm playing a lot on FanDuel today. I wanted to throw this in for King Mana. It is at 6:35 Eastern, 3:35 Pacific. So we'll talk through pitching here. It'll be pretty easy because there's a lot fewer games on the DraftKings slate than we have on the FanDuel slate. And I like slates that have more games. So I just, played a ton of lineups in that $3 that's over there for the MLB rally. So I'm just playing FanDuel primarily today. I'm playing one big lineup. I do have 150 set in like the whatever that mini max thing is there as well. But like the MLB rally is kind of what I'm focused on here. And that locks in 30 minutes. So my thoughts over there are very different than what they're going to be for DraftKings purposes, but I'll try to keep the two slates separate.
All right. So let's start here by actually, I guess just because FanDuel locks earlier, we could start by talking about the FanDuel pitchers as because there's going to be a lot of overlap between the DraftKings and FanDuel pitchers. We could just start on the FanDuel side with pitching, and you got more options over there. You got massive chalk on Blake Snell. So Blake Snell is projected for nearly 30% ownership. You got 29.4% ownership on Blake Snell pitching at home against the Rockies, only $9,100. Logan Gilbert's 13% owned. Then you get Paul Skeens 9% owned. It's also all pay up options that are popular over on FanDuel. There's no real punt options that are pulling any kind of meaningful steam. Cash games, you're going to Blake Snell over on FanDuel. For GPPs, do you still like Blake Snell to 30% ownership, or is there a different spend up that you like to pivot off of him with?
Yeah, I like getting to Logan Gilbert a lot. A lot of my favorite spots that I like to pay attention to, Zip, Steamer, the Bat, places of that nature, they are very high on Logan Gilbert today. And it's definitely something that I took notice of this morning, that I was probably going to end up in overweight to Logan Gilbert on FanDuel, purely because you're playing one pitcher to rule them all, one pitcher to find them. We have no real workload concerns for him here. He's pitching in the best ballpark you could possibly ask to be pitching in as your home ballpark. And he's got the kind of strikeout stuff you're really looking for. North of 7, where we've got him projected at for strikeouts, or where I have him projected at, I should say. You get Lars Nootbaar leading off here, which is definitely better than like you would get for a Brendan Donovan in terms of what your strikeout equity is going to be. You have a couple of righties up there in Herrera, Contreras, Sagasi, Pages, Furman. They rolled out 5 right-handed bats to face Logan Gilbert. That doesn't seem like a very good idea at the end of the day when he has a 36% K rate against them. I feel pretty darn good about Gilbert being the guy on FanDuel that I have the most of.
All right. So, yeah, you also get Logan Gilbert less than half the ownership of Blake Snell. Obviously, if anybody plays Blake Snell in a GPP, that's totally acceptable. It is a ton of ownership going to him, though, so it is worthwhile to talk about some of the pivots to get away from him with. And for me, it's kind of hard to not like Paul Skeens a little bit as well, Eric. I agree with you when it comes to Logan Gilbert, but, a while ago, you and I both thought, probably me a little bit more so than you, that Paul Skeens was going to be limited down the stretch of the season, because we saw that happen for a brief period of time where you had this stretch where Paul Skeens was throwing under 80 pitches. He was being capped at 5 innings, and that was coming right out of the All-Star break and going into the All-Star break. So it just kind of stood to reason like, hey, this team isn't going anywhere. There was some indication before the season started that he was going to have some kind of innings limit. It looked like he was just going to be limited to 5-ish innings or so for the second half of the season. And then that just didn't end up being the case. In fact, we've seen some recent starts, like against the Rockies a couple of starts ago, where he threw 101 pitches, and he doesn't very often throw over 100 pitches. So there are zero concerns as far as his workload goes from me anymore. And if anything, it looks like maybe even they're like, hey, let's make sure he's throwing 90-plus pitches per start so they could really make sure that he solidifies the Cy Young. Because what the hell else do the Pirates have to celebrate or go, get people to show up to the ballpark for? Maybe they're looking at it as, hey, Paul Skeens, if he wins the Cy Young, it's an actual marketing angle for us for next year. So it looks like it's something that they are prioritizing with him down the stretch of the season. So of all the pitchers in baseball, I think that Paul Skeens is the best going right now. Obviously, if you care about win-loss record, that might not indicate it, but what can you do when your offense scores 0 runs for you every single time you go out and pitch there? So Paul Skeens at $10,800. I like him at 9% ownership on FanDuel as a pivot off of a very popular Blake Snell.
I do too. Obviously, this is a ballpark downgrade for him compared to what you get at PNC. I think that's pretty obvious to most people who do this every single day. And your chances of a win with Paul Skeens relative to your chances of a win with Blake Snell or with Logan Gilbert, yeah, we can all agree that that's also going to be dwarfed relative to what we've got for a Paul Skeens. But can he make up for it just in terms of stuff, strikeouts, going the distance? Like getting your 6-inning bonus, getting your quality start matters a lot more. I will say this, the one thing I keep staring at is he does have a 144 expected ISO against lefties. And while that's good, it's not like elite. And this is a ballpark that if the changeup isn't on, which is kind of his primary pitch, I mean, that's the opposite-handed pitch. When you hear changeup, just always think like that's primarily what you're going to look to be your out pitch against lefties. It has a 23.6% swinging strike rate. It's been good, but like I do have a little bit of concern that just exists there considering the ballpark. There are some pretty good lefties that you're going to get from the Baltimore side of things, but I'm with you. Like, it's an opportunity to get a lower owned Paul Skeens in a spot where I don't really have those kind of workload concerns that I thought I would have like a month ago.
Yeah, and for people asking in the chat why we started by talking about FanDuel instead of DraftKings, the FanDuel slate locks in 23 minutes. So just to give people more time, it made a little bit more sense to open up by talking about FanDuel as opposed to DraftKings. And also every pitcher that we talk about on FanDuel is included on DraftKings, but not the inverse. There are going to be, pitchers that are on FanDuel but not on DraftKings. So it just made more sense to start on the FanDuel side of things before we migrate over to DraftKings. So obviously it is the pay-up options that are dominating over on FanDuel. Blake Snell, just under 30% owned. Logan Gilbert, 13% owned. Skeens, 9% owned. Sale, 7% owned. Rodon, 7% owned. Your 5 most popular pitchers are like, 5 of the 7 most expensive pitchers over on FanDuel. Is there anything you like on the cheaper end of FanDuel?
Yeah, there's one guy that I'm kind of staring at in Logan Allen at 6,900. I mean, he's just so cheap. And this just is kind of a flip the bill type of deal. I think Tyler Wells has been really good and Yuri Perez is pretty good. If they end up with a little bit more ownership, again, 6,900, all I'm doing is looking at playing these elite stacks. I'm looking at getting to the Dodgers with Ohtani attached. I'm looking at getting to the Yankees with Judge attached. I'm looking at getting to absolutely everything that I possibly can to get to those type of teams, and then just kind of not worrying so much about, like, obviously I need Logan Allen to pitch well. We have so many elite arms, but I'm only doing that in like a handful of the lineups. So I've got 80 lineups over there right now. I've got them in 2. Getting a little bit of Yuri Perez here as well, who has just been brutal lately, but it's still there. I just like the expensive pitchers. I think the field is going to as well. But in the interest of trying to get different, wanted to mix in some things. Yuri Perez, Tyler Wells, kind of a way to do that. And Logan Allen, obviously.
Yeah, I don't really see a strong need to go cheap over on FanDuel, especially because the pricing just always ends up being so soft where it's kind of easy to go to the expensive pitchers and fit them in without too much opportunity cost anyway. It doesn't, I'm going to bring up a hypothetical scenario, which isn't going to end up mattering because it isn't actually the reality. But over on FanDuel, if Paul Skeens had the ownership of Blake Snell, then I think there would have been a more interesting case for Tyler Wells, because then it would be like, hey, look, if the Orioles beat the Pirates, which isn't all that unlikely, even though Skeens is pitching, because the Pirates could go out and score very minimal runs like they typically do, then you get yourself into a scenario where it's like, hey, if Tyler Wells gets the win bonus, those are points that come away from Paul Skeens. It would present leverage. But considering that Tyler Wells at $7,600 actually isn't even all that much less popular than Skeens, he's 5% owned, whereas Skeens is 9% owned. It doesn't really create the kind of leverage I would look for in that kind of situation.
I agree with that too. I mean, I'm doing it in 5 lineups where I've got, a couple, like I've got 1, and 3 of Logan Allen now here. I just reran some stuff. So I'm not going to go crazy in trying to go different in that direction. But yeah, you best believe I'm looking at those lineups and I very much like what I'm getting there. And yeah, I don't really have a whole lot else to add. I mean, there's a lot of ways where you can justify low owned pitchers or like flipping the build or something like that. MLB DFS is hard because we have 4 guys who are projected for 36 fantasy points. Basically, they are so much better, and you would need nuclear outcomes from some of those mid-tier pitchers to actually match them. And then again, for me, it's just simply maybe you can get to the stacks there, but yeah, I'm with you. 75 of my 80 are going to be these 10K pitchers plus Blake Snell.
Let's also, I was going to say we'll do DraftKings pitcher, but once again, since the FanDuel slate's locking in 19 minutes here, let's just give people the information so they have a little bit of time to build here. I know that you said that you're finishing up building your FanDuel lineups there. Who are the FanDuel specific stacks that you're prioritizing? And for reference to you guys, the Dodgers are projecting for 16% ownership as a stack over on FanDuel. That is more than double the second most popular stack, which is the Tampa Bay Rays on the road against Sean Burke and the Chicago White Sox. So massive chalk going to the Dodgers. Is that a team you like playing? Is there a different spot you like to go to prioritize over on FanDuel?
I like the Dodgers, but I mean, it's basically just getting to Ohtani, getting to Teoscar, who finally has a pulse here, but mainly just trying to get to the righties in addition to a Shohei Ohtani against Kyle Freeland. He's been bad against everybody, but in the interest of not just stacking them up over and over and over again at negative leverage, I'm just kind of highlighting the main guys and mixing them in as like 2-mans, 3-mans, and then obviously the one off of Ohtani. My favorite stack to get to is the Miami Marlins. They're going up against Jake Irvin. This guy routinely has 2.5, 3.5 earned run props. They have a 5 implied total in Vegas. The Miami Marlins do. They are by far our best value stack to get to on FanDuel for today. They're on the earlier window of games, which always kind of worries me because if you've done FanDuel DraftKings a lot over the course of the last few years, sometimes people want to get access to the games that are on one site that aren't on the other. Happens more in football, but definitely happens in the MLB as well to a certain extent. And 2-3% can really flip this and make it look not nearly as good. But because of the value that they give you and because of the expensive pitchers that we all want to get to, I think they're just so interesting. So yeah, Miami is my highest owned stack overall as a 4-man on FanDuel.
Yeah, I think that they make a good amount of sense. Also, when it comes to a team like the Dodgers, if you're just playing the Dodgers as a stack with Blake Snell, yeah, that's the lineup that's going to project for the most fantasy points, but you are going to run into a lot of similar looking lineups in GPP. So if you do want to play the Dodgers against Kyle Freeland, I think that's reasonable, although I do think they're quite a bit over-owned over on FanDuel. There's only one other team that we have on FanDuel that is more negatively leveraged as a top stack in the top stacks tool. If you are very committed to playing the Dodgers, I would say do it with a pitcher who's not Blake Snell. Get contrarian at pitcher. Go to Paul Skeens or go ahead and play something like Logan Gilbert in that line. Just do something different if you're playing the Dodgers as a stack. So I'm going to go, by the way, but in pretty much any other stack, because we've got the Dodgers and then also the Padres. The Padres are picking up curious ownership against Andrew Abbott over on FanDuel. I don't know if you've seen that, but the Padres are the second most popular team over on FanDuel. I misspoke before. I'd said it was the Rays because I was looking at the top stacks tool and missed that the Padres kind of towards the bottom of it. Why are the Padres this popular against Andrew Abbott?
I have no clue, but I will say this. All these projection sources that I just cited for Logan Gilbert, they all like attacking Andrew Abbott in this spot. I mean, absolutely everywhere. And I had to double check the math because it didn't make sense to me yesterday. It computes. I mean, this has a Nick Pivetta backing written all over it against Cincinnati from a betting perspective. But yeah, the attacking portion of the Andrew Abbott deal and not just being a bet backing San Diego, that's a little bit confusing to me. The guy made an all-star game for a reason. This is a ballpark upgrade for him relative to his home ballpark. So you can increase his numbers ever so slightly and think that, he might have better performance there. He won't get a ton of swing and miss. Nobody really does against San Diego, but he is just so good at limiting hard contact that I'm surprised that everybody's going this crazy for him. But yeah, I went through it last night and then today. It's just absolutely wild to see people wanting to really go after him in this capacity.
So by the way, I also think that the Marlins at their price points, a pretty good stack to be going towards against Jake Irvin. Also want to shout out the Toronto Blue Jays against Jason Alexander, a pitcher who I feel like I am perpetually, is he pitched like every other day for the last few weeks? I feel like we end up talking about him all the time and we make the same dumb George Costanza jokes, but Jason Alexander, 4.6, his numbers also don't really change in between starts. 4.68 ERA, 4.67 expected ERA, 5.05 FIP. He has a 17.2% home run to fly ball rate. He only strikes out 19% of the hitters he faces. And he has a tough matchup against a Blue Jays team that's modestly owned and also underpriced. The Blue Jays as well on FanDuel. We've got them with the third highest top value odds. And the only reason that their team's ahead of the Blue Jays is because they are so cheap, where it's like the Pirates against Tyler Wells because half the price is like near minimum line, near min price. Then Miami crazy cheap against Jake Irvin as well. Amongst teams that are reasonably priced and have pretty good top stack odds, I mean, you got the Blue Jays here towards the top of the top value odds as well. I think they are a great stack against Jason Alexander.
100% agree.
So those are some of the priorities for me on FanDuel. Anything else you want to shout out for the FanDuel side of things before we get back to talking about DraftKings?
Yeah, I do have like a couple of disgusting Colorado Rocky lineups, and we'll talk about that when we get over to the DraftKings side as well. Blake Snell has been better. He's shored up a lot of things, but you never know when the walk bug can pop up. You never know when Blake Snell just has one of those outings, and he is going to be crazy popular on this slate. Just absolutely crazy popular. I think on FanDuel as well, rolling out a couple of him in your portfolio, a couple of these 4-mans for Colorado, especially because then you don't have to add a 5th from Colorado, which is probably the best part about playing FanDuel today, is you can only play 4 batters. Like, I know the 4 batters that I want to get to from the Colorado side a majority of the time. They're going to be named Hunter Goodman, Jordan Beck, Brenton Doyle, and Ezekiel Tavar. Maybe a little bit of Kyle Karros just as like a little bit of filler, but like, it's really nice on FanDuel to be able to get to like 1 or 2 of those stacks where it's like, all right, if something does happen to a 30+% Blake Snell, these ones are actually grading out all right in the Sims tool. So I'm just finishing putting these all together. Want to get to a little bit of that.
Yeah, shout out to our friend Jason here. Jason123 says, just want to say thank you. Free and great content with the best tools in the industry. And yeah, if you guys want to sign up for any of those tools, link is down below in the YouTube description box. Take advantage of our link join offer. You get access to them for free. And also, that is going to come with access to our Discord channel. So if you guys have questions for us and you are a Stokastic sub, hit us up in Discord, because you guys know that I do like to look out for those over the course of the show. No questions have come in quite yet from the Discord channel. I'll just ask you one more time, Eric. Any final thoughts on FanDuel?
No, it was awesome to be able to kind of work through it and talk through it a little bit. We haven't had one of these slates where it was like half an hour earlier than the DraftKings slate in a while. So wanted to get some extra exposure, especially because there's 4 games in this little window that you can add. And I've just always done better when I was parsing through. I'm willing to embrace some risk and things when it comes to large field, and we get to a smaller allotment of games. But I do feel like my chances of success on these larger slates has always been higher.
And by the way, for anybody who is locking their lines right now, Matt Shaw was scratched today. So that is information that you should know about to make sure that he's not in your lineups right now. Matt Shaw scratched for tonight's game. Let's talk about DraftKings pitching, and it's so much different on the DraftKings side of things. So something like this, for example, Blake Snell is still very popular on DraftKings, 36.5% owned, but Logan Gilbert's 37% owned. So actually comparable there. We're like, Logan Gilbert has a fraction of the ownership and he's a viable pivot option. This is way different on the DraftKings side of things. And actually, all of the pay up options are pulling some ownership. So every single pitcher that is 9K and above on DraftKings, Eric, is at least 20% owned. So you kind of just get to pick here, who do you like the best? Chris Sale, 29% owned. Logan Gilbert, 37% owned. Blake Snell, 36.5% owned. Carlos Rodon, 21% owned. Nick Pivetta, 22% owned. And that's kind of where all the ownership is going over on DraftKings, is to those pay-up options. If you want to go cheap, we'll talk about him in a little bit as well. Jack Flaherty, 16.5% owned. He's the only pitcher who is sub 9K pulling any kind of meaningful ownership. What do you do with the pitching options on DraftKings when they're all kind of popular on the high end? Do you even like any of the cheap pitchers, or do you agree with the field and you just think that we should be spending up at pitching today?
I mean, I obviously agree with the field, because we just covered it on FanDuel where, they're just it's so hard to get away from it on a one pitcher side. I think you can entertain it a little bit more. We have fewer games to work with. We're going from, the 4 extras to remove 4 from what I just talked about. And I think that brings the Nick Pivetta piece into play a little bit more for me at 9K. Carlos Rodon, 9,200 as well. 2 guys that I'm not really getting to as much over on the FanDuel side of things. But I guess it just depends on what version of Jack Flaherty you get. He's definitely the guy that I think on the cheap I have the most interest in getting to. Griffin Jax is going to pitch an inning. You don't want to play him. Kyle Freeland is facing the Dodgers. Best of luck to us all if you want to roll that one out. But yeah, I kind of agree with what the field's doing. I guess Sean Burke is one guy that you could potentially have a little bit of interest in purely because of the price point. Michael McGreevy's pitching in Seattle, and still I don't really want to get to him, but the expensive pitchers are dominating for a reason. It's pretty flat up here. I think you can make a couple of stands, and I brought up the Logan Gilbert stuff a little bit ago. He is our top pitcher. Our top 2 percentage has the highest on Logan Gilbert right now. And the ownership is kind of right there with Blake Snell. I mean, it's only $200 difference as opposed to on FanDuel where it's, over $1,000. So it makes sense, but maybe you kind of get a little bit more Blake Snell in your life. I'm running some of those lineups here now, favoriting top 150 and we'll kind of see where it all comes out through the wash. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of these expensive dudes for sure.
Would you agree cash game combos, Gilbert and Snell?
By a mile, yes.
Yeah, all right. So Gilbert and Snell. Here's the other, and I think these are the two top pitchers. If you look at the ownership we have in the Sims here as well, there's other pitchers who are showing up, obviously, here, but Gilbert and Snell both accounting for about half a piece of the exposure in our pitcher spots there. If you're not paying up for Gilbert and Snell in the same lineup, between Rodon, Pivetta, and Sale, who's your favorite non-Gilbert Snell spend-up option?
Rodon, Pivetta, Sale. It's going to be Sale for me, but I kind of see a world where I want to get to a little bit more Nick Pivetta. Not that I want to go crazy with it, but Chris Sale, man, we got to have some kind of limitation issues for him too going forward, right? Like, hasn't really popped up in a crazy way. And that other slate, I'm really glad that I kind of went against my urge there. Just followed the Sims tool into the abyss and just jammed Chris Sale. He was awesome. 6 2/3, 9 strikeouts, but 78 and 92 pitches the last two. I don't know.
Also, I think it's worth noting that he hadn't pitched since June. So there was a 2.5 month hiatus. He comes back and throws 78 pitches in his first start, 92 pitches in his next start. I agree with you that it doesn't seem to make sense that the Braves would just have him go all out. But his second start back from the injured list after a really long absence, he threw 92 pitches. I kind of do tend to think that he just is unrestricted and good at 6 2/3 innings. It doesn't make any sense, but that's kind of where things have been trending. It didn't make sense for him to throw 92 pitches in his last start either.
I mean, there's got to be a history chasing element to this maybe for Chris Sale. I don't know where he's at on the all-time list for strikeouts and things of that nature. He's had a lot of different injuries over the course. I mean, his Red Sox tenure was all in all a complete failure and then bounced back in the biggest way for Atlanta. But I do always try to remember that athletes want to perform. They want to play. They want to pitch. I'm sure Chris Sale is like, yo, you want me to be around here for a while? Let me do my job. Let me ramp up and do whatever you want or whatever I want. And then if I get hurt, I'll take the responsibility for it. Like, I think athletes are intentional, like they want to do it. But if you're Atlanta, do you really want Chris Sale throwing 100 pitches September 10th in a game that absolutely has no implications for your future? Like, it's just that push and pull that's very, very difficult. I put him in for 94 pitches. I feel pretty good with that number, and that's still showing up quite a bit on DraftKings for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I mean 94 pitches is more or less a full workload. Like how many pitchers on the slate do you expect to throw more than 94 pitches?
1, 2, 3, 4. Rodon, Pivetta, Gilbert, Snell.
Yeah, so to that point, 90, like how much, even if you said you think he's going to throw 97 pitches, how much is that even changing the equation? So, I think more or less we're getting a full workload out of Sale. I think that you're being logical by saying, why are they giving him a full workload? But it just kind of seems like that's what they're doing. Also, just sad state of the Braves at this point in the year. Acuna is batting towards the tail end of the order. He's batting 7th last night. You got Spencer Strider on the mound with a 5 ERA, who did not pitch well once again last night against the Chicago Cubs. Looked like he was going to go much worse as well. I go and look at the box score while I'm eating dinner last night. It's like, oh, cool, because you and I like the Cubs for leverage. I thought we were going to get a massive night out of the Cubs. When I look at the box score and it's 0-0 in the first inning and the Cubs have the bases loaded with no outs. They only got 1 run across the board that inning. But anyway, it is a sad state of affairs for the Braves, who just recently, a few years ago, win with more or less the same core players. They ended up winning a World Series. Actually, probably even a lesser roster because they didn't have Acuna when they won the World Series. So I can't even describe how much the Braves have fallen apart here. But yeah, I think that Sale is pretty good to go out there and end up rostering. And I do prefer him to Rodon and Pivetta tonight.
Yeah, I do too. I'm curious where ownership is going to land on all these guys. That is basically all that I will say with that. Plus, 10K down to 9K on DraftKings does make a pretty big difference. As you brought up, FanDuel a lot looser pricing, so it's easier to kind of get to what you want. You're kind of making some concerted efforts to like leave 600, 800 on the table on Blake Snell lineups, finding different constructions there, because if you overlap it with, I think Cleveland's a stack that ended up showing up quite a bit over there as well, just to round out in the last 4 minutes. Washington, Miami, we talked about, like, there's a lot of overlap that could exist there. But for DraftKings purposes, $1,000 goes a long way. I just think, Chris Sale's definitely the guy who's going to be projected much better than that of a Rodon and Pivetta, rightfully so.
Also, if you guys haven't done it yet, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We do appreciate that very much, and only take a half second of your time. If you could go and do that, we would very much appreciate it. Just like, subscribe, a couple of buttons down there at the bottom. But let's look at some of the cheap pitching options, which they're not needed on DraftKings, but I do think they are more viable than they are on FanDuel when you consider that we do have to roster 2 pitchers over on DraftKings. So, well, actually, I'll ask you if you feel differently. Do you think there's a need to roster anybody who is below 9K, Eric? And a massive price gap, too, because Pavetta's 9K, then Andrew Abbott's 8K. So you're looking at a $1,000 price gap there, and there's just nobody priced in between. But do you find yourself getting to pitchers who are priced under 9K on DK at all?
I am, playing 150, but in my 20 max stuff, am I going to? Probably not. I have one lineup in my top 20 that has Sean Burke. Good times. Don't really know what else to say about that. Jack Flaherty is definitely somebody that you never know which side you're going to get a Jack Flaherty, but looking at my lineups, I didn't get to as many Yankees over on DraftKings or on FanDuel. I got to the Yankees on DraftKings. I'm very much going to be playing them up against Jack Flaherty. He's had some major issues with some of these lefties this season. And I don't know the last time I pulled up a main slate, saw the Yankees, saw that they had a top 3 implied total on a slate, and that they were the lowest out of anybody in the top 5 in terms of ownership share. They are just not owned at all on today's slate. So I'm more in attack Jack Flaherty mode than I am play Jack Flaherty mode. But in 150, if you got to 10-15% of Jack Flaherty, or, like the Sims has a little bit more than that at the moment on your screen, I'm all right with that. But will say this, go Yankees. I don't say that very frequently in my life.
Jack Flaherty is a good enough pitcher that he is a little bit underpriced at the $7,500 price tag. If you just look at the caliber of the pitchers who are cheap, he's clearly the best. I know it's been a little bit of a down year for Flaherty, although a lot of bad luck has been involved. He's a 4.85 ERA, but 4.12 expected ERA, 3.97 FIP, and he still generates a good amount of strikeouts. 27.4% strikeout rate this year. That's actually the exact same mark as his career, Eric. So nothing out of line there. 27.4% this year, 27.4% for his career. So I think that does make him worth rostering, at least to some extent, although I do also agree with you that the Yankees are worth targeting him a little bit as well. I think that most of the lineups that have Jack Flaherty are probably going to be Dodgers stacks. I think that's probably going to be why people play Flaherty, is so that they can pay up for the Dodgers.
I agree. I will be cheering against the Dodgers too. I can guarantee you both of those things are true for DraftKings purposes. My expensive stack is the Yankees. As I said, Sean Burke, somebody that I'll mix in a little bit. He's 5,500. It has more to do with what the Yankees can give me than what Sean Burke can give me. Just don't die, dude. Like, go out and give me 15. I would be over the moon if he went over 3 fantasy points over his 12 projection. Good times.
Yeah, Sean Burke coming up from the minor leagues. Did you see what his minor league numbers were?
No, I didn't. I didn't even pull them up. I really can't imagine that I'm going to like what I hear.
So he made 3 starts in the minor leagues, had a 7.82 ERA and a 5.4 FIP, and they're like, "Come on back up to the big leagues, buddy."
Jesus. That's not great, guys. That's really bad. I will say this: the pitcher that I have 0% of in 150 lineups is Jose Barrios. So congratulations to him on his come from another magnificent gem. But otherwise, I have every other pitcher that is showing up on your screen right now in at least one lineup in 150 on DraftKings.
Anything else you want to talk about on the low end? It's hard for me to back. I know that Sean Burke is super cheap at $5,500, but those minor league numbers are horrific. And it's actually not even out of line with minor league numbers throughout the rest of his career. So last year, where he pitched primarily in the minor leagues, he did make 3 big league starts, but across 19 starts in different levels of the minor leagues last year. He had a 4.77 ERA and a 5.01 FIP in the minor leagues. In 2023 in AAA, he had a 7.61 ERA and a 7.2 FIP. I get that he's really cheap, but he's also quite bad, Sean Burke. So I get it. Baseball is random. If he's just able to make it through 4 or 5 innings, even give up hard contact, just hit it, guys. All of a sudden, you get a guy at his price point who could put up like 13, 14 fantasy points, and they can end up looking pretty good in GPPs. It is a pretty hard pivot, pretty hard trigger for me to pull. Anything else that stands out to you on the value pitching end?
Yeah, I'll say this. I mean, he's a fly ball pitcher too, so what could possibly go wrong for Sean Burke? Nick Pivetta, I mean, we didn't really talk about it, but like, it's just one of those wild things, man. This is where sometimes you have like these biases where you have like, oh, Nick Pivetta gives up hard contact, fly ball contact, does this and does that. He got off to a ridiculously hot start this season. Things have kind of toned down. If you look at like any of his graphs over on FanGraphs, as far as like, you know, his rolling WOBA, things of that nature. Hi, Duke. But I very much like getting myself to as much of these expensive guys on as humanly possible. And then just understanding that, all right, if I get a Sean Burke in here, Michael McGreevy, I have one share of. I'm probably going to just take that out here while we're even talking about it. But you're just doing it because of the stack that they give you, not because you actually think that they will be that successful.
Any other pitcher thoughts? If not, we'll start talking about the stacks.
Let's stack it up.
All right. So you guys see here, I've got the stack exposures sorted on screen. The first thing I want to ask you about stacks is the Dodgers, because the Dodgers, as you guys can see here, are showing up a little bit as a 3-man stack, but actually aren't showing up at all as a 5-man stack in the Sims, Eric. And they are the uber chalk on FanDuel. DraftKings. They were very chalky on FanDuel as well, but still very chalky on DraftKings. 16.6% projected ownership to the Dodgers as a stack. Their lineup just dropped as we're talking about them, by the way. Ohtani,
Edmund batting 6th. Son of a bitch. God, I've been waiting for this all day, and now I'm not going to be able to react to it. I've literally been dying. I knew Edmund was projected 9th everywhere, and I thought it was garbage. And now I'm not going to get this bet in, and I'm so mad. I'm so mad. Oh, God.
He's batting 6th. You got Edmund batting 6th, and then the rest of the lineup, it is... so Edmund 6th, Rojas 7th, Pius 8th, and then Kike Hernandez 9th. So we got that lineup out now for the Dodgers, Eric. Obviously, it's a good spot for them against Kyle Freeland, but what do you make of them relative to their price tags and ownership in this matchup? Do you agree with the Sims? Do you want to be on the complete opposite side of the Sims? Are you somewhere in between? Because it is very rare that a team is this popular and basically gets outright faded in the tools.
I have 0% of them on DraftKings at the moment. 5-mans. I have a lot of Ohtani one-off, and the other guy that I was going to play a ton of, and again, this is solidifying it. I had to do everything I could to get Edmund on FanDuel and force him into stuff because I thought he would be somebody that was under projected by the entire marketplace. Like, lineup order is such an important part of what I personally do. And I know it sounds super basic, but people don't react to it nearly as much as they should. Eric get mad about something before, like, I tried to make money. I'm sorry. That's literally what I'm here to do, is make money for you and try to be as helpful as I possibly humanly can. And I saw a 9th hole, Edmund, 9 hole. You know how many times Edmund was in the 9 hole against a lefty? 0 over the course of this year. 0. He was absolutely not going to be in the 9 hole, and everybody had him projected there. He is 6th. And I haven't been able to react to it because he got ripped off the board while we were talking, and it's the only thing I was paying attention to all day.
He gets mad after lock, too. This isn't like exclusively a pre-lock thing. You guys could see Eric get happy post-lock. You could see him get upset post-lock. You could see him have existential crises post-lock on social media. This isn't just a pre-lock thing if you guys think that.
JJ McCarthy is the greatest quarterback in the history of the NFL. Eric went off on the Vikings on Monday. I know that's not a thing that I did. No, we had it the whole time. Skull.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, Kenny Brayboy says Eric sounds like your wife. Your wife is that passionate about Minnesota sports. Tom Olson's, and then Tom Olson said, to be fair, he is a Minnesota sports fan. I do think that that is something that has become engraved in Eric's personality, is the Minnesota sports, and it's probably been for the worse for him.
No shit. I would agree. Like, you think I'm going to disagree with that statement?
No. I wasn't. That wasn't. I mean, I guess it's said in a way that's meant to be funny, but it's also factual. Like I think it has been. Yeah, I think it's been horrific for Eric's development as a human being, that he's grown up as a devout Minnesota sports fan.
I can remember where I was for every single NFC championship game of my lifetime. When I was 12, I was up at the lake house. We couldn't even go to the game because I was too nervous. My dad's like, oh, I guess we'll sell the tickets because you were able to sell them for an astronomical amount of money, and we had season tickets. And so we ended up selling those, and I had to watch freaking Gary Anderson miss like a chip shot field goal to send us to the NFC title game. We go to overtime, and then we get Jamal Anderson dirty burning in the end zone. All right. I remember drunk sliding down a hill at Iowa State as Brett Favre threw an interception in overtime that was just absolutely. And now that guy, Darren Sharper, is, I believe, in jail. So there's that as well. And he makes the interception to Brett Favre and ruins my life and ruins my college experience. And I am sliding down a hill, fall on my ass, and everything sucks.
Can you guys imagine being Eric's dad? Eric's dad's at work. He's telling everybody, like, we're going to the big game today. And then he comes into work the next day and they go, oh, how was the game last? And I go, no, my kid was too much of a pussy. He gets nervous about the game, so he couldn't go.
Yeah. My dad's like, if you're going to be too nervous, like, we'll just sell the tickets and like go to the lake. I was like, all right, let's do that. So that's literally what we did. And I went ice fishing and cried.
That is funny that you couldn't go to certain sporting events because it would make you nervous.
Was I in Philly for the? So no, I dated a girl in college that was from Philly, and I knew very, very, like, very sharply, very acutely, not to go to the Philadelphia, because this was after, like, ridiculous stuff. We end up in Philly and we lose in the NFC Championship game by like 35. But I wore a Adrian Peterson jersey to an Eagles game and got ice snowballs thrown at me the entire time. That was like in 2009 or something, 2010. We'll never.
I found that there's other utilities. Just StreamYard, it seemed like the perfect time to roll some of them out. This is going to be fantastic. Fantastic that we could do this going forward. Oh my God. Get ready for NBA season, Eric. Get ready.
Oh my God.
I've got a soundboard now. This is a new feature over in StreamYard.
You get ready.
Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, guy. You don't want to miss that. We've got a soundboard here now. By the way, this show has gone by. I was looking at the clock like 30 minutes ago. I was like, boy, time's moving pretty slow today. And it's like a minute has passed, and all of a sudden we're 15 minutes out of lock. So are you with me? Dodgers tonight, just kind of a no-go with their price and ownership.
Yeah, you can play them as one-offs. You can play them as two-mans. You can do whatever you want. I'm going to end up betting Tommy Hedman on some stale numbers. Obviously, not every book had him out, but there were a couple that I had circled, and now all of his liquidity got picked up, and I'm just so tilted. This entire day is ruined.
Is there any value on any of the numbers left on him?
No, it's going to get reposted at just some horrific numbers. There was a 580 home run that was posted. And that was so egregious that there aren't even words for it. Tommy Edman is like a lefty killer. That's what he literally was acquired by the Dodgers to be.
Batting sixth. I do think he's a pretty good one-off for today. So obviously we ran the Sims pre-lock. This was, before the updated lineup. I do think that Tommy Edman's a really good one-off at $3,200 plus the second base, third base eligibility. So if we could pick one guy to roster from the Dodgers to be overweight to, I think, would you agree Edman would be the guy?
Edman is absolutely the guy. He's my favorite play on the entire slate. He was coming into this because I thought, again, the difference between batting ninth and batting sixth, you don't get stuff like that for a lefty killer Tommy Edman. He also doesn't have a ton of pinch hit risk because he's a switch hitter and because he's somebody who just got called back in. They want him to get in a rhythm and get ready for October, which is basically all the Dodgers really care about these days because you just expect them to be there. Tommy Edman's an awesome play. He's an awesome bet if you were able to get him there in time. Obviously, a lot of books didn't have him posted, but the one spot that I had circled, he's gone. And I'm just going to keep complaining the rest of the show. Plus 370 on FanDuel. I'm going to just lose my mind. Losing my mind. He is plus 370 now. There was a 580 that I could have bet.
Coulda, shoulda. Why didn't you earlier?
I don't know. I got busy.
Let's talk about some other stacks. So we've gone over the stack that you and I think is overowned, and honestly, it's probably going to sink us if we're being realistic here. Dodgers probably going to go out and just put up a ton of runs after not that we think it's a bad spot for them. I think you should be playing them in cash games, but we think they're overowned for GPP purposes. Who's your favorite stack to be rostering on DraftKings?
Yeah, this is really not surprising to me in any way, shape, or form, but you get any sort of ownership here coming in on the Jack Flaherty side, and I'm going to feel really good about my Yankees stand. I'm very much a Yankees stand. Now, Jason Alexander, you brought him up on FanDuel as well. He must pay for his sins on DraftKings too. So he's great. He's just fine to get to on both sides of it. But I just can't get over the fact that if Jack Flaherty is the key to unlocking the Dodgers, and I'm already fading the Dodgers, it goes by reason that I should probably play the team that I am hoping just pounds them into the ground and beats the shit out of them in the Yankees. So it's kind of like two birds, one stone kind of stuff. I'm really taking a stand against Jack Flaherty with the Yankees bats. I can still get to 10, 15% of them here, but 28% of Yankees bats. They are my my highest owned stack. I ended up boosting them, took down a little bit of what I had for Toronto. 28% Yankee stacks, though. That's what I'm rolling out in 150.
Yeah, so it's funny because I'd said I like them a bunch over on FanDuel, and they were showing up a shit ton in the Sims for DraftKings as well. I don't really have too much to add from what we said at the top of the chart, but I love the Toronto Blue Jays today against Jason Alexander. All the same reasons I like them over on FanDuel, I like them on DraftKings as well. Jason Alexander just profiles as a pitcher who is terrible, but also really favorably stacking against for DFS purposes. A lot of balls put in play against him, 19% strikeout rate. And then on top of it, you get a guy who has a nearly 20% home run to fly ball rate. You also got a Blue Jays team that doesn't strike out a bunch. Jason Alexander is more likely to have 0 strikeouts today than he is to have 8 strikeouts. I wouldn't be surprised if he gives up more homers in this start than he has strikeouts as well. So our data loves getting to the Toronto Blue Jays. They have the second best top value odds. The only team with higher top value odds tonight than the Toronto Blue Jays, Eric, it is the Houston Astros taking on one of your nemesises in Jose Barrios in the other side of the game. And I actually do think both sides of the game make some semblance of sense. But I really like Toronto quite a bit. That is my overall favorite stack to be getting to on DraftKings. Any other teams that are priorities for you, maybe in a way that we didn't talk about over on the FanDuel side of the slate?
No, it's just obviously comparing completely different slates, which is, different than we've gotten a rhythm of doing the last few weeks where it's like, oh, everything I liked on DraftKings, I liked on FanDuel. Everything I liked on FanDuel, I like on DraftKings. What are you doing with the Cubs? The Cubs are in a weird spot here with Chris Sale. They have the same bullpen stuff going on that the Twins do, though. If you can get to this bullpen in any way, shape, or form, if it's 5 innings of Sale, you could look at launching pad here for the last 3-4 innings there against Atlanta. I don't know what else to do other than try to embrace some of like the more popular pitcher, stack up against him. Like Chris Sale's been so good. It's not me necessarily saying I want to stack against him, but there's only so many teams that we can roster tonight on DraftKings, which is why, making a concerted effort to get to the Yankees side of things is just like such a strong take for me. But Cubs, Cincy, anybody that you're stacking against for these 9K above pitchers?
Not really for me. They're just too good. A lot of these pitchers. I mean, also if you look at the top stacks tool, like we have the Rockies as being, I don't even the Rockies are kind of popular on DraftKings, which is weird. They're 6% owned. We have the Rockies as negative. It's very rare that there's a team that is going up against a top-owned pitcher that you'll see as being negatively leveraged in the top stacks tool. Like at the very least, it's usually neutral just because it'll be like, hey, this team has a 1% chance of being the top stack, but they're also only 1% owned. The Rockies are actually pulling ownership against Blake Snell, 6% owned as a stack. So I'm not super keen to stack the Cardinals today or the Rockies. I don't love getting to the Reds in this spot. I don't really want to be playing the Tigers against Carlos Rodon. Chris Sale's just been too good overall. The times he's pitched, if I end up being on the wrong side of him being limited today, and they're just like, hey, 70 pitches and 4 innings for Chris Sale or something like that, then maybe there's more opportunity for the Cubs. But there's modestly owned teams in good spots. Like, I would rather you get the Blue Jays at 9% ownership compared to like the Rockies at 6% ownership. So there's other teams that I think we could find in pretty decent spots, like the Mariners, for instance. If you want to be different, the Mariners also showing up a little bit in the Sims. The Mariners are 5% owned. That's the same ownership as the Cubs. That's the same ownership as the Reds. It's lower ownership than the Rockies. So I think there are ways to be different, but actually get teams like the Mariners who are in much more advantageous matchups than going up against like Chris Sale.
Okay, that I wanted to talk through some of it because, again, these are the shorter slates where I generally don't like. I reserved lineups this morning without really realizing, like, oh, FanDuel is going to be a spot that I want to play more on because there are 4 more games. But now that I did, it's like have enough lineups on both sides where it's kind of like I want to make some concerted stands and kind of like think about this in the right way, because I think previously on these shorter type slates on DraftKings, I'd only play like 20 max, or I'd only play like a single entry lineup and not worry too much else about it. But from a large field perspective, I like what you're talking about there, where maybe kind of trimming the fat instead of like spreading yourself too thin is probably the right way to go.
Yeah. And outside of, so for me, like, I really do like Toronto more than any of the other stacks, the same way our Sims see it. But there isn't another team who I want to have like 20+% of. I think there's a lot of other teams it's worth kind of spreading exposure to. And also, one thing I agree with you on, a team that isn't showing up a ton in the Sims that I do want to be overweight to are the Yankees going up against Jack Flaherty. Another team who is the same, like the Yankees against Jack Flaherty. Once again, same ownership as the Cubs against Chris Sale, same ownership as the Rockies against Blake Snell. So I like getting to the Yankees as a little bit of a contrarian team as well. Any final thoughts on stacks? If not, we could build a couple of lineups and then do home run picks.
Yeah, let's build some lineups. This is kind of the fun part of this slate. It's just like building some of these shorter slate, large field lineups for DraftKings purposes, for sure.
Let's do it. Let's build some hype for it too.
I hate you so much.
Time to build some lineups, Eric. I'm telling you, the soundboard is going to be a hit, and the audience is going to agree with me on it. I just know it in my gut. I'll guarantee you. If we put up a poll, do people like or dislike the soundboard? It's going to be pro soundboard.
I think
the chat will be agreeing with me in about 5 seconds. Let's see. Oh, actually, I guess FanDuel's already locked, so we'll just build DraftKings lineups.
That's what I said. We're only building DraftKings. Yeah.
All right, we'll build a couple of lineups here. You'll pick a stack. I'll pick a stack. I want to start by going with the Toronto Blue Jays, Eric, because that's the team that I have been pushing on the show. And then we'll let you pick a stack afterwards as well. And yeah, I'm telling you, we have got the chat. It is a 100% approval rating for the soundboard in the chat right now.
I like goofy shit. This is too goofy. Why are you pushing this on people?
Because they love it. Look at the chat right now. Look at the chat.
Love the soundboard. Oh my God.
Thumbs up. I like the soundboard for now, but it'll probably get old fast.
Do you like the soundboard, or do you like how miserable the soundboard makes me?
They go hand in hand. Love the soundboard. Yes to the board. Soundboard is the greatest. Win soundboard. Yes to the soundboard. Pro soundboard. CPA Joe K. Soundboard is good. Matias Gonzalez. Good buildup. Sotex. Nice production value, Greg. This is strong approval rating. Look at this. Another one. Sir. Soundboard, baby. Look at this. People are, I'm telling you, this is one of the greatest things that we've uncovered around here.
I've never taken my own like away from a video before. I think I'm going to have to do that today.
Eric gonna thumbs down the video that he's on. Really? He's going to try to deprioritize it in the algorithm so that people, so that it'll be like, people don't like the soundboard. All right, let's build some lineups here. So I'm going to start. I'm going to throw Dalton Varsho in here. I'm also going to go to Addison Barger. So I want to make sure that we're getting some of the less expensive Blue Jays hitters into the lineup. I'll let you pick a couple as well, Eric. Who do you like from the Blue Jays do you want to include in this lineup?
Yeah, I mean, you said Barger. You threw him in. He's my favorite of the grouping. Vlad, you bet every single day he's probably your home run call because you're a homer like that. Dalton Varsho, unbettable. Completely unbettable. He's been unbettable since he came off of the IL. If you've had a Dalton Varsho home run ticket, I actually judge you. Like, I'm actually judging you in the back of my mind. But you know what? Doesn't matter for DFS purposes. You still click on his damn name because he's 4,600 and just smashes baseballs. Loper Fido is 2K, flat 2K. Yep. The main issue is that they have 48 outfielders there in Toronto, but he gives us access to be able to get to some of the expensive guys. So Loper Fido is somebody that I'm mixing in. I don't think there's a ton of pinch hit risk for him here either. I mean, both these teams are very much actively trying to win a game. So if it happens, it happens. But he's 2K. The opportunity cost is pretty low. And then you got to have Springer Dinger. I mean, this guy is just absolutely out of control. So, yeah, I know we're jamming up the outfield, but such is life here with Toronto.
Where's here, Springer? All right, so I'll add Vlad into the mix as well. So we got our five-man stack here. Vlad, Barger, Dalton Varsho, Joey Loperfido to save some salary, George Springer. Let's complete the lineup now. What else do we get in here? All right, we got Logan Gilbert and Blake Snell as the pitchers. We both are going to like that. Edgar Guerrero at catcher. We've got Tommy Edman at second base. You and I also both like that. And then Ha-Sung Kim at shortstop. I like how this lineup looks on paper. Let's see how it sims. Let's go to large contest.
Don't you have to hit a drum now? You have to do a drum. If you're going to do the bit, do the full bit. Hit the drum.
We already did the drum.
Oh, but it's like while it's doing the load thing to, okay, whatever.
What I really have to do is I have to download more sounds.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do. I do. There is another one keyed up that I can't play, but I'll tell you why afterwards. Anyway, so we've got here a pretty good looking lineup, 28.8% sim ROI. I dig it, Eric. All right, so we got a good looking Blue Jays stack. I will let you now pick a team. Who do you want to stack next?
They're not going to sim out that well. I mean, the Yankees I'm in love with for tournaments, but they're just not simming out well. I had to really force it to make it happen. Let's go to the mall. For my How I Met Your Mother people. Okay. Well, that's How I Met Your Mother song. The second of Robin Sparkles. Real ones know. Let's go to Seattle. Let's do the Seattle stack because I think they're going to sim out a little bit better for us.
All right. So who do we want to go with from Seattle? I think we should try to find a couple of cheaper hitters we like from the Mariners as well, kind of like we do with Loperfido and other guys from the Blue Jays, just because if we went like Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Randy Arozarena, you start running out of salary pretty quick. So who do we want to be going with on the cheaper side of things from Seattle, Eric?
Yeah, cheaper side. Got to start probably with Dominic Canzone, 3.1K, righty killer.
So we got Canzone in the lineup.
Josh Naylor's 5K still. I mean, got to go Josh Naylor.
We could go Naylor, $4,700. I think the other one, too, that really makes sense, a $4,300 Jorge Polanco at second base.
100%.
And then I guess we could go with 2 out of the 3 expensive guys. Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Randy Arozarena. Who doesn't make the cut of those 3?
I mean, really 6,200, but like he's also plus 200 to hit a homer. Let's click on him. He seems fun. And I'll let you pick the other one.
All right. I'm going to go with Julio Rodriguez, and that is going to complete our 5-man stack of the Mariners. And then we'll have the optimizer complete the rest of the lineup for us. And then YouTube chat, start lining up your home run picks, because that's what Eric and I are going to do next after we sim out this lineup. Blake Snell, Nick Pivetta in this one. And then we got Miguel Rojas, Ha-Sung Kim again, and Joey Loperfido to save salary. Yeah, Loperfido at 2K. He makes a ton of sense to be getting to on this slate. There aren't that many guys who are the flat min price that are in good spots today. La Profito is one of them. Look at that, Eric. 65.8% sim ROI. Stamped approval from the single lineup sims.
Go team. Go team. Thank God for me on this show. Thank God for me.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And now, before we head out, Eric and I are going to be doing some home run picks. So, Eric, I want to know from you before we ask the chat, who are you picking to go yard for today? Because it is time for the dong of the day.
Cody Bellinger. Cody Bellinger is going to go yard for the people. The guy just, there you go. Cody Bellinger just hits it high, hits it far. I can't believe some of these numbers that have occurred for him the last couple of weeks. I know he doesn't have as much power as like a Ben Rice, an Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, obviously, but who does? And you're getting plus 475 for a guy who routinely hits high, far, pop flies. Like, give me that to short porch in Yankee Stadium all the time as long as the wind isn't blowing in, which looks like it's barely in from left. But boy, it sets up really nicely here for 3-hole Cody Bellinger.
I am going to go with one of my more home run. It's one of my more popular home run picks over the course of the last couple of years. Vlad. Wow. If I like the Blue Jays, chances are I'm going to like picking Vlad to homer on a given day there. So let's see what we've got from the chat. All right. Malukar's on the same page as me. He's going with Vlad. We've got John Daly going with Alejandro Kirk. Jake DeWitt going with the only good player on the entire Rockies roster, and Hunter Goodman.
That's
BD
fair.
Has got Mookie Betts. Your boy Good Greens has got Teoscar Hernandez. Charles Moran is going with Jahmai Jones. We've got B Funk going with Colson Montgomery. We got Morningwood Blues on the same page as you, Eric, going with Cody Bellinger. Io Kimbrough has got Yordan Alvarez for today. We've got Devin Klein picking Josh Lowe and Brandon Lau to homer. Tom Olson is going with Matt Olson. Sotex is going with Shohei Ohtani. You know what's funny? I mean this sincerely. I cannot remember the last time somebody picked Shohei Ohtani to homer from chat. It's been forever, I feel like. I can't remember.
They understand the rules. They understand that, you're not exactly impressing us. Oh, my God. Yuri Perez has 21 fantasy points already on FanDuel. He's 5 strikeouts in 2 innings. Son of a biscuit. Oh, I hate everything today. Oh. Yeah, it's been a while.
Been a minute since somebody picked him. Rooster Slinky's going with Jazz Chisholm. NY Steagle's got Justin Turner. Jetty's got Ramon Laureano. Jason also going Mookie Betts. Mike Campbell's got Jeremy Pena. We've got Rick Durkin also going with Naylor. We talked about him. Oh, really quick. Jeff Williams left us a super chat here. Let's see if we've got time. He left this very, very late in the program, but I will throw it in here. He wants to know, can we sim? Yes, I will do this for you. You left the super chat. I want to make sure that I get this in before the show ends. Sale Gilbert, Fortes, Diaz. Okay, so it's Tampa Bay stack. So I'll just go to Tampa Bay. This will make it a little bit easier. All right, so he's got Lau and Low. He's also got in the lineup Diaz and who else? All right, so then some Dodgers hitters. We've got Mookie Betts in here. We've got Tommy Edman. And then who's in that final spot? Oh, La Profito. Okay.
I will say Palacios. I bet his under 0.5 hits. Really sharp addition from Paul in our Discord. He's been pinch hit for routinely, and there are 4 lefties that are going to be available for the White Sox today. Very good chance that he gets pinch hit for, but he's cheap. I just prefer Loper Fido as the main guy for cheap, and then Palacios if you absolutely have to, but I'm not going to get to basically any of him on DraftKings.
Yeah, here we go. We got the lineup built out. It is simming, and came out positive, 11% sim ROI. You do have the $400 to play with here, so one thing you could probably do, I mean, we're right at lock, so a little late in the game here, but maybe you could go from like Sale to Snell, and then you could probably upgrade Palacios to another hitter from the Rays, maybe something like that. But my friends, we are at lock. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have not done it, like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to sign up for any of the packages we have here at Stokastic, Link is down below in the YouTube description box. So have a good night, guys. Tomorrow, Thursday Night Football. So I will be on the Thursday night show with Lofty, which, get to break down some football, break it up from baseball. So we'll have MLB live before lock tomorrow. We're going to have NFL live before lock. See you guys all then. Have a good night.